You know how liberals are always standing in the way of revolution, and how they tend to always ally with the system that causes the very problem that needs to be solved and that they claim to be against, but they just somehow always end up on the side of that very system that causes the problem that they claim to be against? Well, here's a primary example of that. There was a new study that was put out about authoritarianism, and apparently, according to at least one person, if you are left authoritarian, you are just as bad as a person who is right authoritarian, because somehow in their centrist liberal thinking, they're exactly the same thing. And a reminder of to us why liberals are the ally of fascists. Not that the whole situation in Israel and Palestine haven't already reminded us of that.
Ever wonder why some people hear diversity and immediately short circuit? Turns out the problem might be in their brain. A 2025 MRI study found that extreme authoritarian traits, left or right, show up in your neural hardware. Folks high in right-wing authoritarianism, they had less gray matter in a part of the brain tied to empathy, emotional regulation, and social reasoning. The dorsomedial prefrontal cortex. Translation, they're not just angry, they're neurologically bad at handling complexity. They also scored high in negative urgency, aka I get upset and do dumb shit fast. Let's take a second to shine a light on the left-wing authoritarians. They aren't represented in American politics, but you do see them screaming on the internet. They tend to show reduced thickness in the anterior insula, the brain region for empathy and impulse control. So yeah, brain structure, not just vibes. The more extreme the worldview, the more likely you're dealing with less wiring for emotional nuance. So the next time someone's rage posting about drag queens or demanding violent revolutions, you might not be able to reason with them because it's not just ideology, it's anatomy.
So apparently, according to this person, the Boston Tea Party, which was a liberal act, apparently wasn't radical. But you see the kind of thinking here that left authoritarian and right authoritarian are the same thing. Because the fight and the push to create equality is the same thing as the pushback against equality. You know, like the super big-brained liberal centrist position. I don't take either one of these positions, so therefore I'm so very, very, very smart. You know that kind of mentality. This anti-authoritarian push by this person, and presumably by extension this study as well, should remind us that we should just ask the Tsar to stop murdering millions of people for the benefit of his family and his ruling clique of aristocracy. If only the Bolsheviks had just asked nicely for the Tsar to stop being an oppressive autocrat, then everything would have been okay. You know, kind of like that whole big thing about how liberals are always saying, we can just push the Democrats left. You know how the Democrats keep saying, we're going to give you that stuff you keep asking for, the universal health care and the education and all that, and then just somehow never quite deliver on it. But somehow liberals always being the idiotic Charlie Brown to keep running up to keep kicking the football every single time, like a bunch of lemmings, and fall for it every single time. But you see the mentality here. Like you can almost see the deliberate social programming here of just don't do anything radical. Just stick to the Democratic Party. We promise, we've super serial promise that we'll do the good democratic reforms that we promised, that we've been promising, that we've been going to do since the time of FDR, and that we just never actually do. It's just another example of the complete utter uselessness that is liberalism. That just tells people don't do anything that would actually accomplish anything. There's a reason why liberals barely on any time have ever really changed the world. But we have changed the world in very serious ways. And there's a reason why the greatest equality that have ever existed has existed under socialist states and have not existed under the Democratic Party. So this study on, quote, authoritarianism is I think is completely facetious. And I would love to see the actual study itself and see what it actually considered to be authoritarian and what it considered to be, and just what its exact metrics are. And that the evil authoritarianism of Stalin, the one that actually stopped Hitler from committing genocide, the Holocaust, and how that was a bad thing and that should have been stopped because Stalin bad, because liberal complaint about authoritarianism. So in the end, we get the message once again that liberals are complete tools of the fascists. Just as they can keep telling us how they're going to do something about Israel's genocide against the Palestinians, but they always end up doing absolutely nothing and continue to keep voting in support of sending weapons and cash to Israel to continue to kill Palestinians while pretending that they're against what is going on and even giving some vague words of being against it. And once we see here clearly again how liberals are on the side of fascism, they're on the side of the system that causes the very problem that liberals claim to be against.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.